Hello everyone, welcome to Achievers IAS classes. Let's begin a discussion on the current events of 7th July 2018. The first issue news is regarding the deployment of IAS officers to ensure the ground implementation of flagship social welfare schemes in the 117 aspirational districts. It is part of the extended Gram Swaraj Abhiyan with a focus on villages mostly comprising of SC and ST population. As per the central span, in each village, the central team will convene a meeting of villagers, the beneficiaries, along with the state government or district officials responsible for enrolling people into the schemes to ensure effective implementation. This is seen as a problematic move because the bulk of the expenditure on welfare is done by the states, and our current Prime Minister too had opposed the intervention of the central government in the domain of the states when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Let's just briefly look into some of the salient aspects of the extended Gram Swaraj Abhiyan. The scheme will focus on training, building infrastructure, and stepping up e-governance initiatives under the e-Panchayat Mission Mode project. The scheme will extend to all states and union territories on a 60:40 sharing ratio for the states, while for the northeast and hilly states it will be 90:10. For the union territories, the central's share will be 100% of the project cost, and the sunset date for the scheme has been set for the year 2030. On that note, let's move on to the next issue. The next issue news is regarding a proposal for creating a centralized pool of documentary evidence for smoother sharing of actionable information on economic offences between various central investigating agencies. The recommendation to set up such a database has been made to overcome the existing procedural and legal hurdles in sharing of evidence between the probe agencies. In this regard, the documentary proof gathered by respective agencies would be stored at one place and its certified copies would be made available for the purpose of investigations and use of evidence in the court of law. Such an arrangement would, however, require relevant amendments to the legislation governing each agency like the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate, the Income Tax Department, etc. in terms of evidence collection. On that note, let's move on to the next issue, which is regarding the fall in Forex reserves held by the RBI. As you know, RBI holds foreign exchange reserves mainly in the form of gold and foreign currency assets in order to maintain the import cover as well as currency stability. And typically, 10 months of import cover is seen as stable for the currency, and from the new data released by the RBI, the import cover has fell from the previous 11.3 months to 10.8 months. The next issue news is an editorial regarding the recent hike in the minimum support prices for the kharif crops announced by the central government. The government claims that it was done to assure a price of at least 150% of the cost of production, which is in line with the farm sector strategy announced in this year's budget. And in this regard, it relied on the estimates of input costs which was actually paid by the farmers as well as the value of unpaid family labor engaged in the field. However, the final hikes of some crops are even higher, like for example, MSP for Bajra is 97% over the estimated costs of production. On an average, the recent MSP hike is the biggest hike since 2013-14 and is seen as a much needed respite to the farmers. But with less than a year to go for the general election, the recent hike shows that the government has opted to reverse the abundant inflationary caution it had exercised previously with respect to fixing MSPs. Because when it came to power in 2014, it had advised state governments against granting any bonuses over and above the MSPs, and also the budget this year had promised that the Niti Aayog would work with the center and states to put forward a foolproof mechanism in order to ensure adequate remuneration to farmers if the market prices fall below the MSP through government purchases or through a gap funding mechanism whereby the difference between the MSPs and the market prices is transferred to the farmers. Little has been done by the government in this regard, and it remains to be seen what the impact of the recent MSP hikes would be on the consumer price inflation. In this regard, the recent MSP hikes may result in a rise in rural incomes, but reforms in the agricultural markets are vital to prevent a distortionary effect on the farmers' choices of crops based on account of MSPs. Therefore, easing the stockholding limits under the Essential Commodities Act and avoiding frequent restrictions on farm exports are some of the key reforms which could go a long way in augmenting farmers' income. On that note, let's move on to the next issue, which is regarding the ongoing trade war between US and China. While the US has imposed 25% duties on Chinese machinery, electronics, high-tech equipment, etc., the Chinese government has hit back with 25% tariffs on an equal amount of goods. These escalating trade frictions show that the months of dialogue between these two economies have failed, and there are fears of the trade war obstructing the global economic recovery. Given that the European Union has also announced similar measures, the fears of a global trade war are imminent, and it remains to be seen how the global community addresses this issue. On that note, I'm wrapping up today's news analysis. Do share this content if you like it. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.